Well, folks, if you're a sci-fi fan, Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets is absolutely wonderful. If you love The Fifth Element, you're gonna love this. It's not quite as good as The Fifth Element, in my personal opinion. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. But Luc Besson is back. He is back, and honestly, better than ever. After directing Lucy, which was decent, but not great, he is back now with another sci-fi epic. And really, to go through the story would take a while, so I'm just going to read the description. I mean, you got a dark force threatening Alpha. It was a vast metropolis, like a huge space station, became a conglomeration of a whole bunch of species, from 1,000 planets, hence the title. And they're traveling from Earth's gravitational, field and going on into space or whatever. But then all of a sudden, in the year 2550, such a timely year, we're all going to be around for that, aren't we? Now, on the giant station of Alpha, the giant basically conglomeration planet type of all these people and all these species, a threat is here. And you have two characters, and I'm just going to pull it up here, but I mean, it's like you got Major Valerian played by Dane, and forgive me if I get this wrong, DeHaan. He was in Chronicle, and he was in A Cure for Wellness, and he was also the Green Goblin and Amazing Spider-Man. So, he's a pretty good actor, honestly. I mean, I actually enjoy Chronicle somewhat, so I thought he was pretty good. And then, I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce her last name, because I'm not going to get it right. But, Kara or Kara, she was in Suicide Squad. She was also in Paper Towns. She's the one. She's the pretty blonde that has the big eyebrows that people tend to pick on. I mean, I'm just saying. I'm just trying to describe her as best as I can. The Kara, and it's Delevingne. Delevingne, perhaps. I might get that wrong. From the UK, she did pretty well in this. She was Sergeant Laureline. Then you had Clive Owen in there. You had Rihanna. You did have Ethan Hawke, in a bit of a cameo. I mean, a bit of a small role. And then you also had Rutger Hauer, who was the president of the World State Federation, because I would trust Rutger Hauer to do that. I'm just kidding, just based on his roles. But it's really a fun, sweeping, just enjoyable sci-fi epic. It's very visual, as with any Luc Besson movie. I love this stuff since Big Blue. The Professional was tremendous. My favorite movie of his, obviously, is The Fifth Element. The Messenger is the story of Joan of Arc. I mean, I didn't really care for that. That was kind of shit. And I'm not sure if it was his fault or if the studio just edited like crazy. It had a great cast to it, but whatever. The thing about Valerian is that it almost feels like the first in a series of about 3 movies. And it's not that they were just laying the groundwork and not doing anything, but you almost think with all these 1,000 planets and all these different races and all this stuff that they have more to delve into. And I mean, maybe that was the original intention. Maybe I'm just reading too much into it. I don't know. But it starts off, of course, with Valerian and Laureline. And there's a bit of a romantic subplot, as there always are in these movies. But from there, it's like, okay, who is causing this deep threat to Alpha? What is going on here? Is it really such a threat? There's a plan, and I'm gonna possible spoilers here, so turn it off if you don't want, or watch us later if you'd like, and I'll put possible spoilers in the description. A planet gets blown up near the beginning of the movie, like within the first 10 minutes, but it ties into the rest of the movie. It's a very peaceful planet, almost Avatar-like, except these 10 minutes on this planet of a mule, I believe. I kind of kept screwing up the name. That atmosphere, and and the alien race that's there already is far more interesting than anything in Avatar. Avatar was absolute shit. But it's almost hard to describe everything unless you watch it. It was really, really enjoyable. It is very obvious from the beginning when you first see the characters, when you first are introduced to the characters, very obvious who the villain is. If you can't get, that's one, maybe my only quibbles about this movie is, I mean, yeah, granted, in The Fifth Element, you knew who the villain was right away, but there was a bit of a layer to, there were a couple layers to it. Now, Valerian City of a Thousand Planets has quite a few layers to it. And some really, this is basically Luc Besson if he made The Fifth Element now. Because Fifth Element, hugely visually impressive, very tremendous story, very fun story. I mean, it was goofy, but it was fun. It had a great cast to it. This is basically almost a pseudo-sequel. You know, not quite. But it's like, okay, hey, these are with all the technologies now. This is what he was able to do. And I mean, Fifth Element looked great in 1997. And even looks good now, don't get me wrong. This is like, okay, wow, this is really impressive. It's like you get immersed in the worlds and the planets and stuff like that. And there's no, my only issue with it, and it's kind of like with The Fifth Element. Because even though there's like this whole thing is going to blow up the world, you know, flatten the planet and all that, there's not the biggest sense of danger. I mean, there's some sense of danger, but not the biggest sense. In this one, you always feel like everything's going to work out. So that's a bit of a, that's another bit of a quibble, but nothing is a deal breaker. And you will enjoy there's this little anime computer generated creature that you know, that produces pearls. Don't question it, just watch the movie. And that thing, that, you know, is like, so you'll care about the little creature. In fact, I kept thinking, because they introduced him in the beginning of the movie, and I'm like, okay, let the creature live, please. Because the creature was far more interesting than some of the characters. But yeah, the villain's obvious. I think it's set up for a sequel. It's really fun. The only thing I really didn't care for was Rihanna. I'm sorry, Rihanna, just very unnecessary. She provided, you remember in The Fifth Element with the blue opera chick? That's kind of what they tried to do with Rihanna's role here. She didn't sing, she just danced. I'm just saying that. I don't really care for Rihanna. I mean, I'm not personally a fan. Fans of Rihanna will like this. Will like her part in it. I just felt it was unnecessary. I don't feel she's a horrible actress. I just don't feel she's a very good actress. And I'm just not really that impressed with her music. So I didn't really care for that. And I was like, whatever. But it was enjoyable. And this is probably the most entertaining Ethan Hawke has been in a role in years. Because Ethan Hawke, not really that great of an actor. But the two main leads, Dane and Kara, at least I hope I got that wrong. Or I hope I got that right. They did good, and I think there's potential for at least a sequel and possibly a second, sequel. So possibly 3 movies. I think you could go quite a few places with this. Now, if it just ends up being a standalone movie, fine, that's cool. But I think they could do a sequel easily. If this movie succeeds, I think they could. So that's what I gotta say. Very visually impressive. Performances, there was enough entertainment in here where I didn't really hate anything. I mean, I didn't really care for Rihanna's performance, but it wasn't a deal breaker. It wasn't horrible. Clive Owen was fine. Herb Hancock was the defense minister. He was fine. Chris Wu was in it. He was cool. But yeah, the two main stars, Dane and Kara, they did fine. And it was really enjoyable. Luc Besson definitely put the time and the effort into this, much like he did with The Fifth Element. It was, while maybe not quite as good as Fifth Element, maybe not quite as good, it was damn close. It was damn close and it was damn enjoyable, so that's what I gotta say. I really enjoyed it. Most fun I've had at a movie since Kingsman: The Secret Service. And watching it in theaters. In fact, they're coming out with a second Kingsman. Kingsman, I believe, called The Golden Circle. Anyway, so that's what I gotta say about Valerian and City of a Thousand Planets. Do you agree, disagree, like, share, comment, subscribe, Twitter link in the description. It's been Real Honesty with John Riplin. I am John Riplin, and I will see you soon.